Oi, governors. It's your boy here, and we are back. Got some more Fire Emblem heroes, and today we got the two remix banners for Legendary Byleth and Sigurd. So let's go ahead and take a look at these two bad boys and see if there's anything worthwhile in here for people to be summoning on. Now, we do have a new heroes banner, which is going to be the special heroes, and that should be dropping very soon. We can take a look at the calendar here. So the next upcoming banner is going to be a special heroes summoning event on May the 20th. So we're probably going to get the trailer on the 18th, which should be in just about a little less than a week from now. So definitely keep in mind that is going to be a thing. So before you go Hamtaro spending a ton of orbs on these two remixes over here, you may want to keep some orbs in the pocket for that banner. Okay, but now let's go ahead and take a look at what we got going on here. So first of all, we're going to take a look at Byleth's banner. So Legendary Byleth, of course, he got his remix, and his updated skill for the C is going to be Attack and Speed Oath 4. That is changed from what he had before, which was Times Pulse 3. Both of those are still pretty good fodder, though. You can get some mileage out of both of those. And the reason why they did that is because they built Time Pulse into his special, so he doesn't really need it in the C skill anymore. They buffed the damage of this a little bit, and then they also still allowed him to nullify enemies' DR. So it's better, but like, I mean, I don't know if I would have taken Times Pulse built in there. I think what he wanted was some even more damage, or like melting or something like that. Just a way that he could cheat even more. And they're not going to show us his remix here, unfortunately, but they pretty much just buffed up his support. They gave him access to tempo and a couple of other things. His support is now in 3 columns and 3 rows, which is certainly better to be getting the drive null follow-up, and now he's giving some stats as well. So they did do him a little bit of justice there, and he can be more competent in combat as well with a bunch of stats to himself. So he's better. I just wish he was a little bit better than that, is the main problem with him. Okay, so he is going to be color sharing with Attuned Peony, a character that a lot of people are very familiar with at this point, considering the fact that she won the Hero Rises event, so everyone got a copy of her. And she is one of the best fodder tanks, or fodder banks you can go for if you want to build her up. You can give her all the good stuff like Firestorm Dance, Guidance 4, Soaring Guidance, Gambit, No Quarter. The list goes on and on. Flared Sparrow, even, she's able to get that. So essentially all of the most busted skills and most meta-relevant skills that have came out in the past, I don't know, like 3-month period, you could give her all of that stuff and she's going to be cooking. Just about the only good, like, melee skill you can't give her is Lagu's Friend. But, I mean, that's neither here nor there. She gets access to just about everything else that's good. So a great unit to be getting copies of and also giving merges out to. Her Oath Echo skill is okay. I mean, as far as Echo skills go, it's pretty much just whatever you can get, honestly. Like, there are ones that are best in slot for select characters, but they're so restricted in the way that you get them. Like, I would rather just go for a bunch of good passives than just tack on an Echo skill. And also the restriction of not being able to give the Echo skills to characters that have perf passives outside of the rearmed heroes is also a little bit of a detriment. So I don't know if I would put too much stock on the Echo skills, honestly, but if you want it, it's there. So that could also be an option. So I think green is a pretty good color share. Then we have red over here with the Legendary Erica and also Legendary Ryoma. That is some butt cheeks right there. That you want to skip that. Stay the hell away from red. Okay, moving on to blue now. We have Legendary Chrom, who has still managed to remain relevant all these years later. What is this guy? From like 2020, I think? He was at the very start of 2020. And we are halfway through 2024, and this guy is still putting in work. So he has lived quite a long life in this gacha game. Units do not live 4 years long in gachas with the amount of power creep going on. But it's really just to change fate, which is giving this guy all of his utility. And then his weapon turned him into a crazy stat ball with a bunch of bonuses. So he can still cook. He's still pretty good. Legendary Lucina, on the other hand, not so much. She does have Future Vision too, which is really nice for action economy, but I mean, why not just run Duo Robin and give them swap instead? Because they can still take their second action and inflict, like, all of their debuffs if they use any movement assist. It doesn't matter which one it is. It could be reposition, it could be swap, it could be shove, it could be smite. You can even use rallies with them. So, yeah, that Duo Robin is just a mastermind when it comes to action economy, so I would prefer them. Also, Lucina is very undertuned in terms of her damage dealing and things like that. She's just from an age bygone by this point. So, blue is okay because of Chrom, but like Lucina's really holding back that blue pool. And then finally on Colorless, we have Milla and also Bramimond. I think Bramimond at this point, even though his remix was really solid, it was really good, it's just age is finally catching up to him a bit, I guess. I mean, you could give him Lagoo's Friend, I guess. I'm going to say that about every infantry unit, by the way. You could give them Lagoo's Friend, and they're going to be a lot better. He does have a decent enough res stat, I guess, to make some use out of that, but that would only be at high investment if you got him at, like, plus 10, and you've got plus res, or you've given him an Ascended Floret to get plus res, and all of those things. Maybe then he could start looking decent. He already cuts DR a little bit. I can't remember if it was over here or if it's over here, it looks like. Yeah, he cuts DR in half. So Lagoo's Friend just cuts DR entirely, which will still add DPS, but the reason why you really want that is just to get the non-pierceable DR out of your res stat, and then also it just recharges your special pretty easily, so I would say something like that. But overall, he's a defensive mythic hero, so even if he was still a crazy damage dealer, he wouldn't really be all that worth it to chase merges on. And then his fodder isn't even that crazy either. Well, I guess he's got attack res tempo 3 for the pickup for level 4, but I mean, let's just move on. And then we have Milla up next. Milla has still managed to be relevant just because of her defense-based isolation. It's pretty helpful, although most competent defense teams you're going to run into are going to have either King Freyr or even on like Dark Season, people will run King Freyr, or they're going to have Safi, or they're going to have what's her face, Midori with her refine, which can essentially just use odd and even recovery at the same time. So those are very common. Those 3 units are very common on defense teams to stop enemies from shutting off your rally traps and things like that. So Milla's not really going to be able to do much against that. But outside of that, she is still pretty decent. And she's a nice supporter, giving drive all stats of 4 in a massive radius. And then also nullifying the enemy's attack bonuses, which can be pretty handful against specific units. Like AoEs, for example, you can turn off any attack bonus they have. So if they're trying to go with like blue bonuses to power up their damage, it's not going to work. So she's a nice supporter still. She's an offensive mythic hero as well, so there is value to be had in getting copies of her. But overall on this banner, I would say it's pretty much green or nothing. That's all you want to go for. Okay, and then finally we have Legendary Sigurd's banner now. So on red, of course, we have the man himself, Legendary Sigurd. I don't know why they gave him Seal Defense 4. Kind of an odd pick. He already had a Perf B skill. He had Crusader's Ward, which just gives him a bunch of damage reduction against ranged attacks. So, like, they could have gave him a different, like, C skill, probably. They could have gave him... How about, like, attack and defense incited? How about that? Like, be really nice. Give him something that he can really make use of. Or even they could have gave him, like, a level 4 near trace. They could have gave him, like, attack and defense near trace 4 or something like that. But I guess the reason why is because those skills don't even exist yet. I don't think there's a unit that has attack and defense incited or attack and defense near trace 4. So they probably want to stick to skills that are already in existence when they're giving these like updated skills to these legendary heroes. But Seal Defense is not what he wants, which is very unfortunate. However, this guy did fare pretty well in the Refine and Remix category. He does more damage on his special now, and he's giving a little bit of extra support as well. He's giving defense up 6 to allies now, as well as some first attack DR by 40%. It is pierceable DR, but it's still something, so we'll definitely take it. And then on top of that, his weapon is giving him a lot of damage now. He's getting some protection, too. He's getting a little bit of DR, so you will be able to make as much use out of this guy as you were before. He's just a lot better. His refine really reminds me of Regan's, where they didn't really give her anything outside the box, but they just made her so much better at doing what she already did best. So, like, this guy, all this guy wants to do is run in and hit something with his special so he can give that party-wide +1 movement. And that has not changed. He still does the same thing. So, this guy is definitely going to be good, regardless of whether or not his refine gave him extra tools to work with. Okay, and now he is color sharing with the Attuned Triandra. So, this character is also... Everything we said about Attuned Peony applies here as well. The only difference is that you may not have as many copies of this character as you have of Peony, because everyone got one of her for free, and she was also on that Green Dream banner. So, make of that what you will, but everything you can do with Peony, you can do with this character. You can give them all the exact same skills. They are both infantry, or they are both melee flying type units, so no quarter is on the table. You can give her Guard Bearing 4, you can give her Prime 4, like all sorts of very good skills. Even Rain Snap is a possibility, like Attack and Speed Rain Snap, or Speed and Defense Rain Snap. Really nice skills there. So, just the sky's the limit with whatever you want to give her to duplicate on your other characters. So, she's a very valuable summon. Okay, then on blue we have Uller. Yeah, we ain't talking about this unit until she gets her remix. And then we have also Naga over here. Yeah, so Naga's another offensive mythic hero, which is always valuable to get merges on just for the scoring possibility. But this would not be one of the ones that should be high priority. She does have Divine Fang for support, which gives effective against Dragon. And then it also grants some attack and speed bonuses and a guaranteed follow-up to allies. But I don't know, man. Her weapon wasn't that great. It just gives her some extra stats when she's fighting and maybe a little bit of support too. I can't remember exactly, but nah, man. Naga's not really what you want to be going for right now. And, well, I guess this is two offensive mythic heroes, right? We have a Light Season hero and we have a Astra Season hero. So you could say, oh, I could just snipe blue and then I'm getting a +10 copy of two offensive mythic heroes to raise my score, right? Well, technically, I guess, but... both of these characters lack the special slot. So if you're going to be running them for score botting in Aether Ray's offense, then you better have someone with the special slot as well with a lot of merges, because you're not going to be getting it here, unfortunately. Okay, then on green, we have Hell, accompanied by the Attuned Nino. Oh, this banner has two Attuned heroes. That's very interesting, yeah. So Nino's pretty good. I'm not going to say anything bad about Nino. Echo, like, whatever about the Echo skill. As I said before, Echo skills are just, like, the extra credit. You don't really need it, but if you have access to it, then it's just that extra skill you can get. But she's got Speed and Defense Tempo 4, which is still a pretty meta-relevant skill. Flash Sparrow, I'm not the hugest fan of, but it definitely has some uses on certain builds. And as a unit, she's just pretty good. She's getting +1 movement out of her C skill, and then she can do all of these things here. She can kind of turn herself into an interesting stat ball there. She's getting a lot of DR, she's getting a lot of stats, and then, of course, this is where a lot of her value comes from. She's getting cooldown reduction, she's getting bonus movement, she's getting Kanto. Like, all of these things are very good for a nuking type of unit, which is what Nino wants to do. Only thing is you'd probably want to give her lethality, but other than that, she can also play the fodder bank role pretty well because she's an infantry type, so all sorts of good infantry skills are on the table for her. And then she is color sharing with Hell, who is, I don't want to say like Hell is awful. She's not the craziest. As far as defense mythic heroes go, she's also not that good, but as a unit, you do see her from time to time in summoner duels because of her ability to warp. So she can control quite a bit of space. She has a decent enough speed stat to make use of the null follow-up and like all the extra stats she's getting out of these skills that she's got here. She's got that built-in miracle effect, which they gave her a mythic boost type of healing effect on her weapon after the remix as well. So like she can upkeep her miracle over and over just as long as the enemies don't have fatal smoke, or as long as they don't have like a tome type of weapon to just bypass her miracle, because she only gets the miracle against non-magic or staff type enemies. So you can definitely wash her easily if you've got a crazy mage damage dealer or if you've got Fatal Smoke. But other than that, she can actually put in some work. So she's not terrible, even though defense mythic hero not really worth getting merges on. And then she does also have Guard Bearing 3, which is a nice pickup for the level 4. So green is actually decent. I'm not going to say anything bad about green. And then finally on Colorless, we have the legendary female Corrin, who is a pretty good unit after her remix. And this is another case where when in doubt, just give Lagoo's Friend, and all of a sudden you've got a monster on your hands. Because she was already playing up the non-pierceable DR thing. Her Refine gave her some Brave Attack non-pierceable DR, and then, of course, Negating Fang 2 is as good as it is. So you tack on Lagoo's Friend, and then she's getting the ability to pierce enemies DR while also getting non-pierceable DR and, like, all that stuff. She gets the special cooldown. It's just nuts. Like, this unit is pretty nice as a Omni-Tank type of unit after you give her Lagoo's Friend. So definitely a competitive option, and she could be decent with merges, of course, because she does at least have the dual skill on her legendary pair-up effect. So you can get some uses out of her with some nice merges if you want to go for it. Micaiah, on the other hand, another case of let's wait and see what her remix does, because as it is right now, this is insufficient to be using. She's in the same boat as Uller, where like, I don't even want to talk about her until she gets a remix. So there you guys go. That is going to wrap us up for the breakdown on these banners. I think on Sigurd's banner, red and green are pretty valuable if you want to go for those. And then over on the Byleth banner, I would say green is pretty valuable over here. So that's going to wrap us up for this one. This is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, fellas. And I'll catch y'all again on the flip side.